All right, this is Ryan from RS Rolling Classics, and we're going to talk about no heat in this 2006 Torrent. Um, I'm getting it ready to sell, and I found out that even though the fan, everything works inside, it's not heating up inside. So, and I was driving it like this for a long time because I'm only like 5 minutes from my work. And I thought, well, I'm just not driving it long enough to get it to for the coolant to heat up and work the cabin air. But so I'm getting it ready to sell. I've done some work to it. So the first thing I did was I went under the hood to see if it was serviced, and this overflow tank was not serviced all the way. So the first thing I did was I went and serviced it up and operated it. And sure enough, it was really, really low, crazy low. And I thought, well, that's it. I'll service it and the heat will come back. No, it didn't. So there's a couple of ways. I'm going to show you how to troubleshoot this and try to save you a lot of headaches. So in the corner over here, you'll see there's a temperature gauge. Most cars, this troubleshooting will work for most cars, but over here there's temperature gauge. Now, if you watch that temperature gauge and you suspect it may be, when I ran it, it would just get hot. It would just nothing, not really even hot. It'd get, didn't even seem like it was up to operating temperature. But then again, I was only driving it for 5 minutes each way in the winter. But, I said, well, if I'm going to sell it, I want to make sure the heat works. And that's how we got to where we are now. So I serviced it. It started getting hot. The tank flushed and came back. I came back over here. I topped it off. And I thought, there you go. Just low on fluid. And then I looked under the car and I'm like, what is that? And I was dripping coolant under here, and I go, oh, great. Not only does I got my heat back, but for how long if I'm losing coolant? So I started troubleshoot. I said, I can't sell this car knowing that it's dripping coolant and no heat. I'm not that kind of guy. So I started troubleshooting it. I brought it here on this wildfire lift that I've got, and I put it up in the air. I started ripping all the plastic off, trying to figure out underneath there where this leak is. Couldn't figure it out. Come to see, I thought, well, maybe it's the thermostat. The thermostat's stuck open, and the water's just constantly circulating. Well, for it to do that, basically the temperature will get up and it'll pretty much stay up and it won't cycle. So what you want to do is you want to keep your eye on that temperature gauge or whatever temperature gauge is in your car. And if it goes up and it dips down and comes back up, that tells you two things. It tells you that your thermostat does operate and that your water pump is cycling the cold air from the radiator into the block, and the block's hot coolant back to the radiator. Still doesn't fix my leaking problem. And so here we are. Had to take the tire off, digging around, seeing what's what, taking the plastic covers off, and I finally got to the point I said, I can't figure this out. It comes up all the way, and then it cycles like it should. But what I noticed after I took this line off is that there was residual coolant right here in this flow. And I know it's not the original hose, but somebody was using this goofy thing stuck on here. But anyway, so it was making it really hard. It was just like pouring, water, coolants all over the place in here. So I'm like, man, what the heck? So I ran it, and simple thing, I left the cap on. So I got this cap all the way on, right? And then it starts to come up. I hold my finger over this. And now, if anybody knows anything about pressure in these things, it's crazy. It's a little high. But I shouldn't be able to hold my finger over this and keep the fluid from coming out. And all I had to do is hold my finger over this for more than a minute. And the fan will kick on, so I knew the fan was working. The thermostat opened, the coolant flushed and cycled like it should, and the reservoir went from here back down to, this is where you service it cold. It has to be serviced cold. And this is your expansion tank. So I thought, that's silly. So all I got to do is keep my finger over this to get it to cycle. And over time, if it keeps doing that, you can imagine every time this goes up and this thing leaks, you're gonna be servicing this for, every few days, depending on how often you drive it. And I thought actually about pulling the thermostat and going from 195, which this car operates on, when it gets 195. And the thermostat's not too bad to change out. It's right down there. You see that little thing right in the middle. But so I thought maybe dropping down to a 180. I go, wait a minute. It says this is operating 195. So you got to do a little troubleshooting, and I hope I'm saving somebody a huge headache, because this and taking all this other stuff apart's ridiculous, okay? So I started looking at this. I go, this thing is rated at 15 PSI to open. It basically, just inside there, it uses to vent the air up. But what it does is this lower O-ring, this one right here where my thumb's at, that actually goes inside this ridge, and that seals that up. Now, the only thing that gets vented, you see there's like a little spring in here. Well, if it ever does get to 15 PSI, it'll go through the middle, it'll vent, and this hole's on top of where this O-ring is. So down below should be kept under pressure until it hits 15, and of course it comes out. So I start looking at this and I go, I'll be damned. This O-ring, probably the original one, and if you can look at it from the side, it's worn. It's probably a solid, or it's just not, it's wore out. So it actually holds no pressure. So even a little bit of pressure will let coolant out. So, and then I researched it. Of course, if you know the answer, you can ask Google anything. But I bought the exact cap for $11. You put this, then when I get the new cap in, I'm going to put this in here. This O-ring is going to seal it off just like my fingertip did. And it's going to come up, and it's going to go down, come up and go down. But it's not going to be just letting it bypass this O-ring here and letting the fluid come out. So I hope that was helpful. Again, this is the one-man shop. 2006. I call it the Batman edition. It's actually, I'm trying to keep some of these cars on the road. Of course, I want to sell this because I've got other projects I got to finance. I got to get going on. But so this one is, I've got it all set up. It's nicely detailed inside. It's got 201,000 miles, but I drove this thing every day. It's got a sunroof in it. It's got every option that a Torrent would have. It's got the nice seats, it's got power seats, heated seats, like I said, sunroof. These are great all-wheel drive. This is that kind of car you could sell any time of the year, okay? Even in the winter. Some people are like, you can't sell a car in the winter. Yes, you can if you live in Wisconsin and it snows. All-wheel drive vehicles will sell in the winter. They're safe to drive, not really that expensive to maintain, and I've enjoyed driving it. I hate to get rid of it, but I recently got a CJ7, and it's got to go. I've got too many vehicles. Again, this is Pinto, which is you're gonna see on the lift. And you'll be seeing me. I've got it. I want to clean up this compartment in here. I've got a little paint. I want to clean this up, make it look nice before I drop my 302 in there. So anyway, I hope this video was helpful. And like I said, it's not always a guarantee it's going to be this. But if you start and you kind of assess everything and you know what you're looking for, I'm not an ASC anything, okay? So don't let this stuff scare you. So you can do your own troubleshooting. Like I said, check the gauge, see if it fluctuates or moves. Check your tanks, leaks. There's all these things. Make sure you run antifreeze. Do not run water. Water, of course, freezes, but the other thing water does is it also eats away at your freeze plugs. They will rust your freeze plugs, whereas antifreeze will not. This car, I also want to make sure it stopped starting for a while. The cold winter finally took the life out of the battery, so I've got a fresh battery in it. I've got no warning lights on, and she's not in bad shape, you know. She's not all smashed up or nothing, you know. It's just it's a decent running car. I hate to get rid of her, but that was a deal. I get my CJ7, and I have to sell the Torrent. So the Batmobile is going to be sold pretty soon. And we're going to get the Pinto on the lift and watch for future videos. So thanks for watching. All right. Bye.